Hello, everybody. We have somebody here who is sick. Oh, HTND. We have Vo Rogue. I'm sick of dips. Yes. Well, it's been a rough day. And I often say bad luck comes in threes. Well, today it came in fives. And we're going to break all that down as well. Talk about all the crap going on. This one is called What the Fig. Thank you to the mods in the chat and everybody else. We have, just before I jump in, we have really, really bad jobs report, which rattles markets. Then we have Trump tariffs part 39. We got tariffs up 41%, up to 41% in countries like Canada, India, Taiwan, Switzerland even is in there. And hang on a sec. Yes. And then we have sticky inflation. We have a Fed delay. Fed did not cut rates. But now there's more than 80% chance they will cut in September, which is good news. And we have earnings disappointments from Coinbase and Amazon. And then, worst of all, Trump threatening Russia with nuclear submarines. Okay, so there are the 5 pieces of crap that have happened on Friday Fire. But there's more, and we're going to get into it. GQ Trader as well. Thank you as well. Sir Winston and Adam Q. Sorry about the markets today. It has been brutal. Bitcoin is off. $10,000 off the highs. Crazy. Bitcoin 113,868, but it was at 113,100 earlier in the day. And again, all-time high, 123,217. So we're 10 grand off the highs, but that's okay. That's Bitcoin and that's crypto. Let's get into the story. That was a long intro. Sorry, it's Friday. I'm wrecked. Disclaimer, not financial advice. And thank you as well to DA. Thanks, James. Been loving Patreon. Glad you like it. Thank you to everybody as well on Patreon that make this possible every single day. Well, yes, you heard me. All June, all July. Yeah, August normally sucks. Low volumes, crappy numbers, etc. This so far has been no different. But remember, the first 2 weeks of the month always kind of suck. Anyway, that's when the most damage is done. And then there's a recovery into the latter part of the month. We'll see if that pattern continues. Either way, we're down 2% for the month. And by the way, we're up as high as 19% for July. It ended crashing down towards the end of the month, down only up 8%. The average is 8.3. So that is incredibly close. The average return for August is minus 0.8. We're already below that. But as I always stress, if you look at where we are in the cycle, we need to compare it to 2013, 2017, and 2021. All of those months are very good. And we'll see if that continues. Again, it's all a function of what the treasuries do. By the way, the earnings call for MicroStrategy yesterday was mind-blowing. And yeah, MicroStrategy is down $25. That's how the markets work. Anywho, let me move my stuff here. Last week, by the way, this time last week, I shared this exact chart. Why the Bitcoin sell off to 114,518? Because somebody dumped 80,000 Bitcoin. That took us down. And then 2 hours ago, it's at 114. It was exactly at the same price from a week ago, but now we're a little bit lower, 113.5. So that's where we are. I think most of the damage is done. The weekend could be up, but we'll see. And this is the funniest tweet ever today. Mert, friend of the channel, he said, the SEC releases the most bullish news for crypto in a decade. And the markets are like, we don't care. We're taking it down. And yes, we went down after the most bullish news in a decade. Joe Biden's daycare. Thank you for that. Every time you make me say your name, I get into trouble. Just so you know. But speaking of what is refreshing and what Mert is responding to, this is the new SEC chair. His name is Paul Atkins, in case you forgot. Gary Gensler is gone since last year. Woohoo. He was not a good fellow. But Paul believes America must do more than keep pace with the crypto asset revolution. We must lead it. I stand ready to help get the job done. I mean, it's such a refreshing breath of fresh air. I've used the word fresh twice. Sorry about that. But again, I riff live every day. So expect little fumbles every now and again. But this guy is good. And what is really good too, if it couldn't get any better, The SEC want to put everything on chain. I've been talking about the tokenization of everything for years, real world assets, etc. And now it's happening. This is what's called Project Crypto from the SEC, where they want to really take everything, going to follow what BlackRock has planned, and bring everything on chain in a tokenized manner. That means all stock exchanges, all money market funds, everything. And that's going to be great for crypto. And I think that's what Mert is talking about back here. It's great news for crypto, but it takes time to digest this good news. You don't expect this release to happen and then the prices to go up. So that just takes time. Anyway, shout out to Paul Atkins. Great job. Now, there is a concern. Again, we're talking crypto here, but you got to look behind the scenes to understand exactly what's going on. This came out from A16Z. Shout out to Mr. Burns as well, who brought it to my attention. This newsletter argues that large banks like the JP Morgan Chase, remember the deal I mentioned with Coinbase? JP Morgan Chase is nearly worth $1 trillion. They want to continue charging high fees for basic services like access to your money. And they want to try and find a way to suppress maybe some of the fintech and crypto apps that are coming your way. And these fees aren't just revenue grabs, but they are deliberate strategies to strangle competition and limit consumer choice. TradFi is worried. Okay, for example, moving $100 to Coinbase or Robinhood could incur a $10 fee, which would deter users altogether. They leave their money where it is. They don't want their accounts drained and going online or to Robinhood or Coinbase or whatever else. A16Z could be wrong, but I don't think so. But keep an eye out for Chokepoint 3.0. They do not want this stuff coming. That's why people like Elizabeth Warren, who work for the banks, not for you, but for the banks, don't want this coming either. All right? I want this to be very clear. You have to be aware. Banks are not your friends. Banks are called banksters for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. And banks want to, they have tried in many countries around the world, in Australia and UK and parts of Europe, where they block customers moving their cash in the bank account that they own to a crypto exchange. They don't like this. So we could get this 3.0 choke point once again. Dial down. Thank you so much. Now, in this whole move, there's a new flavor of DePin coming from Solana, and that is called Dawn. Dawn, super interesting. As we become more decentralized, and as people become much more aware of the dangers of centralization, you now are in a position to own your own internet and AI right from your home. This is a black box that powers DePin and AI right from your home. So you create your own internet, you own it, you run it, not the corporations. They don't own your data. So a lot of people believe this is the future, and we'll see where this goes, but it's fascinating. So for the tech weenies out there, I don't know how much this box costs, probably not that much, but it could be interesting to have your own interwebs. Swipe or no swiping, and Andy, thank you for coming as well. Now, part of the nervousness today, I'm going to break these nervous parts down because people are wondering, why is the market tanking? Well, I mentioned the 5 points at the beginning, but we're going to dig a little bit deeper into them. First of all, there was some provocative statements made by the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev. Hope I got that right. And he's now running the Security Council. And apparently he said some things that made the US president a little bit nervous. And therefore, the US president basically said he's moved 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions just in case. These foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. So I think world leaders know not to mess with this Trump fellow, especially after what we saw happen with the nuclear facilities in, was it Iran or somewhere? Anyway, the point is, this is beyond saber rattling. These nuclear subs are very dangerous and full of weapons. And again, this is one of the reasons, one of the 5 reasons why the markets are weak today. Also, tariff tantrums part 15. Another scary thing. Shout out to our friends in Canada. But somehow, a lot of people criticize the new head of Canada. His name is Carney, for not flying to meet Trump face to face. And Trump didn't like that. He said, well, screw you. And Trump negotiates like a gangster. And This is bad. So maybe the non-negotiation from the Canadians is they believe Trump is a bully, unfair, etc., and prefers retaliation over concessions. I don't know. Either way, this is now coming in. This would not be good for the Canadians, our friends up there, and it will take effect in a week. They wanted to give the tariff notification early, maybe as a negotiation tactic, or maybe so the customs have time to process them. Either way, this is not good. This also has markets rattled. The world likes free trade, unencumbered trade, but this is not good for that. Anyway, and then government lies continue. I've made multiple videos over the years about how the BLS is full of BS. They always report jobs. Oh, we're doing really well. We created 147,000 jobs. And then weeks later, actually, no, we didn't. We created 14,000. And this continues the last 5 years, all the time, every single time. Very ugly. The market reacts to fake job numbers and gets excited, and then they revise them down a month or 2 months or 3 months later. It's ridiculous. And at last, consequences for the government lies. By the way, you know, what's the old expression? Shout out to Sanjay as well. There are lies, damnable lies, and then there are government statistics. The government statistics are all fake. And if you watch this channel, you know I talk about them all the time, like BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, BS. And the head of that BS data just got whacked. He fires the data statistics chief after a large revision to reports. This is actually a good thing. If you mess up in your job, you should be canned. Maybe you can mess up once or twice, but continually every month? Yeah, no, not good. Anyway, that also rattled the market a bit. And the Fed didn't cut. That has a lot of people very upset. The market, the real estate market, commercial real estate market, and all the ancillary industries, small businesses trying to borrow money, they're all getting hammered right now. One of the Federal Reserve Board members, so the Fed, Jerome Powell, has a team of people that are the board members. They quit. I said, you know what? I'd rather be a professor at Georgetown than work for you. And the good news about this, though, why do we care? Because now Trump can shape the future of the Fed leadership and put Jerome Powell under even more pressure to cut rates. Okay, that's good. When the rates start coming down, hopefully soon, that will fire up our risk assets. We'll see. And this is another piece of hilarious news too. The IMF. You know, I joked for a long time about how all of a sudden you stopped hearing about Bitcoin boiling the oceans because of energy usage. Well, I was wrong about that. Sorry, my bad. The IMF just came out and said Bitcoin consumes as much electricity as Argentina, but isn't counted in GDP because it doesn't create traditional goods or services. The IMF hates Bitcoin. It's a threat to their monopoly. They really don't like it. But to pull up this old piece of energy usage, boil the ocean FUD again. Yeah, Bitcoin uses energy, but it also runs a lot of money. Okay, trillions of it. Anyway, that was the fun part. But the crazy thing is, when you compare, all right, Bitcoin energy usage to AI data center energy usage, it's kind of comical. And here we are with Meta. Talk a bit about Meta and some stocks right now, because AI, crypto, they are the future, everybody. But as Zuck says, yeah, Zuck sucks. He said, Meta is building a 2 gigawatt data center so large it'll cover a significant part of Manhattan and will bring online 1 gigawatt of compute in 25, another gig, 1 point, whatever, take it up to 2 gigawatts and then to 5 gigawatts. And they're planning to build about $65 billion in CapEx to build this out. But the crazy thing is about this, all right, Bitcoin's power draw is about 2.8 times higher than Meta's new gigawatt plans. That's one company, one data center, all right? That is just to put things in perspective of how much power AI uses. It makes Bitcoin mining look like a nothing burger. And we don't enjoy nothing burgers here, but that one we do. GQ Trader, thank you so much. And once again, Sean D, T&D, K8, everybody else. Good. But speaking of Meta as well, but if you have any AI skills, woohoo, check this out. This guy just got headhunted by Zuckerberg for $200 million. This is Apple's top AI executive, Rumong Pang, leaves the company for Meta for 200 million bucks. Come work for me, I'll give you 200 million. And the guy who creates Siri, which sucks, says, sure, I'll go. So, they're Meta are spending billions, maybe hundreds of billions, yes, hundreds of billions, on catching up with AI. But they don't necessarily have the A players. If this guy is so good, why does Apple suck? Can someone riddle me that? I don't have the answer, but maybe somebody here does. Cardio, thoughts on MicroStrategy? MicroStrategy is down today after the best ever earnings call. Thank you for this question. I have a big position in MicroStrategy, but what they said on the call was very profound, especially the lack of ATM. I wrote a whole Substack on it. It's free for everybody to read. Check it out. It is mind-blowing. Anyway, thoughts I still hold, still good. So hope that helps. Now, random fact, what the FIGMA. Hang on a second. Sorry about that little. I hope we can't hear the dog barking in the background. Let me know if you can. But this is from Eric Jackson. A random fact. This is FIGMA, which is an AI-based version of Adobe for a creative suite. Now has 56% of the market cap of Adobe, but only 5% of the revenues. That is absolutely bonkers. Okay. 5% of the revenues, over half of the market cap. That's how fast things in the AI world move, ladies and gentlemen. Be ready. Things are crazy. This is the chart. Okay. Sasha, stop it. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I thought I had muted myself and I shouted at the dog to stop barking. Stop barking, dog. Anywho, what the fig? This is the chart. Now, it was listed at $33 for the banksters to get access. And then it went all the way up to nearly 145, 150, if I'm not mistaken. And it's still up. It's still having a good second day, although a little bit off the highs. But the market today is very weak as well. But that's how crazy the IPOs have been this year. Circle IPO is insane. FIGMA IPO, insane. Everybody now who is planning an IPO is going to rush the door because there's plenty of money to FOMO into these IPOs. But what's really interesting about this IPO, and just to understand the bankers, the Wall Street bankers want to protect their money. They're rubbing their hands together. And this is from John Wang. I know a hedge fund who made $200 million off the FIGMA IPO, called up Goldman Sachs the night before the IPO, got in at 33, dumped the first day at 130. Boom. Easy money in a few hours. This is who you're playing against. And I look forward to a decentralized world where everything is tokenized, where we, as retail investors, can show these guys what for, as they say. Anyway, be careful out there. Be careful with IPOs. These two are good, but normally 80% of them don't do so well because the banksters take theirs first. And Robinhood also has access to some of these IPOs, but their Q2 estimates were crazy, crazy good. They made 42 cents in adjusted earnings. Analysts expected 31 cents. And all of the money came from crypto. They made $160 million in crypto trading. And they launched their tokenization as well, which has brought even more hype to the platform, particularly in Europe as well. So shout out to Vlad and all the Europeans and all the crypto traders in Robinhood. This is the chart for Robinhood, which is pretty bonkers. It has 5x'd in 12 months. Absolutely insane. Just shy of $100 right now as you speak, and the trend keeps on going up. So, not financial advice, but that sure is a nice looking chart. Anywho, a little bit of a sad news today as well. Ray Dalio, one of my top 5 legends that I respect very much. He is departing Bridgewater and Associates. But what's cool about this, he knows when it's time to go, when it's time to hang up the gloves. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's not one of these guys that hangs on forever like the people in the Senate and stuff. He's stepping down, and he is the #1 most successful hedge fund manager ever. I wonder, did he call Goldman to go and do this? Anyway, meme du jour, finish up with this little story here. This Scottish mathematician bankrupted France in 1720. Shout out to CTO who shared this. And he invented paper money and created the first central bank. He printed money out of thin air. And this is France after Louis XIV died, I think. His wars drained the treasury. The country owed 2 billion livres at the time, 75% of debt to GDP. Interest payments alone consumed half the annual budget. Ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly where we are today in the United States. It nearly killed France. This is why we have Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming. Happy Friday. Hope you enjoyed the video. And big thank you to GQ Creator, BD McGee. I am Colt, the Raider back, Swiping and Swiping, and Andy. Dial up Dan. Have a good day, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.